Profession report, and then you will get access to this very interesting and very useful resource. Then in 2024, we worked on the second part of the talent triangle, ways of working. And again, there is a Pulse of the Profession report that you can access, you can download, and you can read through all the insights that we provided for you. And this year, 2025, we are closing the talent triangle with this research on business acumen. So before we get to business acumen, let's talk for a second about project success. I already mentioned that maximizing project success is literally part of PMI's purpose. And to understand what makes projects successful, we, PMI, with you, with our community, we conducted the largest study in PMI's history. Pierre actually mentioned it in his introduction. So you know that we formed a team of experts, of practitioners, but also of C-suite representatives and some researchers, academia, community. And they helped us to inform this largest research on project success in PMI's history. And after all, more than 10,000 participants contributed to this survey. So you can indeed find this research and this report on our website too. And by the way, I hope that a lot of you already did. We released this research in December 2024. So if you read that research, I would be very happy if you can share what you think about it in the chat today at PMXPO. So for PMI, for us, we feel that we are still at the beginning of the exploration of the project success topic. So this big research that we released in December 2024. And since that, we are working on different follow-up topics to give you more insight and to give you more guidance how to increase success of your projects. So this report, the main insight that the report concluded is said that that was the understanding of what project success is actually about. And the conclusion of that research is that successful project is that one that delivers value that is worth the effort and expense. So while this mindset sounds very straightforward, it really calls for a deeper rethink on how we see our role of project professionals in project delivery. But also it calls for a rethink or like a deep thinking of what we need as project professionals from our organizational leaders to make our projects more successful. We look at this new definition of project success and this whole research as a call for action to own project success beyond project management success. While this project management success, that is something that means that you are excellent at delivering projects. But we also see that delivering projects is becoming table stakes when it comes to meeting the famous triple constraints. And what we need to do if we want to succeed in the future, we need to expand our perspective and see projects in a broader context and focus on value delivery. So altogether, to make it actionable, this research, we formulated something that we call MORE. MORE is essentially a broader vision for the profession. It's a call for action. And the reason why I'm bringing it here, because as I will show you just in a minute, there is a very strong relationship, strong correlation between MORE and between business acumen. So MORE, M-O-R-E, is our call for action, the broader vision for the profession. So MORE stands for manage perceptions, owning project success, reassessing project parameters, and expanding perspective. So manage perceptions, that's really about accepting that perception is reality, whether we like it or not. For instance, if you give you an example, imagine that on your project, you are working on a new app, and you might believe that the app is useful and really valuable for your users, but essentially it's your users who's going to tell you how the app is perceived by them if they find it useful. That's the perception that we mean. So we can't really argue with users if they don't think that it's useful. We can't argue with them. So this management of perception is really about our ability to understand what is the value that matters for users of outcomes of our project. And we need to manage that. In order to manage that, first thing that we need to do is to understand what is the value that these users, customers of the project, what are they looking for? Then the second point here, owning project success beyond project management success. So this one is really about feeling accountable for the final value that will be materialized, even if the project is finished before that happens, because we know that project can deliver some outcome and then the value of that outcome might come a little bit later. So, for instance, I was thinking an example for this one, I'm thinking about building a factory. So we don't build a factory just for the sake of building it. We are building the factory so that the factory can produce something and the production in that factory is efficient. So even if the factory is built, the value of all of it can come later. But still, this ownership means that we think about it, that we think about that final outcome that will come after the factory is built, and we integrate it in our project. Reassessing parameters, project parameters, that's really about embracing the fact that change is inevitable and we need to adjust to that. And I know it takes guts, it takes courage to stand up and say, hey, we need to change something in our project. Because if we change it, it will deliver greater value. And this is really what we would love to encourage project professionals. And the last point here, expanding perspective. That is really about seeing projects in a broader business and global context to make the right decisions. So if you think about business acumen really plays a critical role in all of these 4 dimensions of more. And I think that, for instance, in expanding perspective or owning project success, it really plays irreplaceable role. So what we know is that business acumen is a skill that is really supporting the shift from seeing project professionals as tactical, troubleshooting, problem solvers to strategic partners for senior leadership and for executives. I'm very happy with the finding of this report because intuitively we all know how business acumen is important. But with this research, with the 17th Pulse of the Profession research, we have data that support this finding and really illustrate how business acumen is critical for project professionals. So first things first, what actually is business acumen? So, by the way, I have a definition here that you can see on my screen, but I was thinking, feel free to share your own definition of business acumen in the chat. I would be very happy to read it after we are done with this session. So if you have different view on what is business acumen or just want to contribute to what you see on the screen, feel free to share that. So business acumen is a combination of knowledge, skills, and experience that enables professionals to understand the key elements of business, including its mechanics, models, functions, sector-specific factors, and financial aspects. So to simplify that, it's really understanding about the environment that you operate in, what are the business functions, business objectives that you dare to support with your project, and how it all works together. And it also involves the ability to interpret and apply this knowledge to make informed decisions, to make good decisions about your project. So for instance, on the previous slide, when I talked about managing perceptions or reassessing parameters of your project, this is the moment when you want to utilize your business acumen skills to make good recommendations and to make good decisions. To be excellent at business acumen, it requires to have the ability to see things holistically, to have critical thinking, but also to have confidence to provide your recommendation based on the observations that you make. So if this explanation of business acumen aligns with your views or not, feel free to share it in the chat. As I said, I would be very happy to read it in a second. So here on this slide, I wanted to share with you a chart that is showing how impressive is business acumen and where can we see contribution of the skills of business acumen to project success and to overall value creation. So for instance, you can see that respondents of our survey, by the way, it was more than 3,000 project professionals that contributed to the 17th Pulse of the Profession report. So they see that in 77% cases, business acumen contributed to facilitation of strategic decisions during the project execution. It also contributed to effective management and stakeholder expectations and conflicts management. And indeed, it improved risk management and formulation of mitigation strategies. So all of these three things that you see on the top of this little inverse pyramid are very important for project success. And it really shows how you can move from being tactical to be more strategic. Indeed, business acumen also contributes to identification of business opportunities and, for instance, to better navigate regulatory or compliance issues. Also very important elements of project execution. I promised you a few minutes ago that I will show you how business acumen contributes to overall project success. So on this chart that you see right now, this is actually not from the Pulse of the Profession report, but this chart that you see, that's from that project success research. That, as I mentioned, you can find it on our website. That's the research that was published in December 2024. So in that research, in project success research, we were looking into levers or enablers of project success. What are the practices that you can put in place to increase the probability of success of your project? And you see these listed on the slide from the most influential to below. So the most influential lever for project success is to have a good measurement system in place. And this measurement system, as you can read in more detail in that report, actually is not just about the ability to measure something, right? To have a good measurement system, it all starts with the understanding of what do you need to measure and why do you need to measure? How is that particular indicator telling you if you will succeed and increase the value that you want to create? So business acumen is absolutely essential to figure that out and to put a good, efficient measurement system in place. You know, in my practice, what always makes me a little bit sad when we start a new project and there is this question like, oh, so we should measure something. We should know how we are progressing. And then sometimes team members, they react and they say, let us think what can we measure? What data we have? Why does it make me sad? Because when we think about the good measurement system, we really should be focused on that end value, what we want to create. So it's not always about what data we have today. Maybe we need to go beyond the current measurement. We need to be more creative. We need to figure that out. We might have some indicators already today, but are they enough? Are they going to tell us if we are really on the right track? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. So attention to measurement system is really critical. And this is exactly where you can excel with your business acumen skills and guide the rest of the project team towards the right measures. So I wanted to share a very brief example here. So I will use something from our own kitchen. So I keep talking about this 17th Pulse of the Profession report. So how do we measure success of that report? I mean, if I would follow the example that I just shared, I can say, what can we measure today? So indeed, we can measure, for instance, number of downloads. We can measure how many people attended our webinar. But is it enough? Is it what we want to know? No. Because what we want to achieve with these reports is to help you to be successful and to find outcomes of our work actionable. this is what we would like to go. This is what we would like to know, and these are the right measures for us. Again, it requires that thinking and understanding the why behind the project or the activity that we're doing. But after this example, let's go back to my promise. I told you that I show you how business acumen makes you more successful. So if we take this example and we see that measurement system is a critical component and lever for increased project success, let me now jump quickly to the next slide, where we were looking at professionals with different level of business acumen, and we were exploring and researching how do they work with measurement systems. And what we found out is this: when you have project professionals with high business acumen, which means project professionals on the top of the spectrum of business acumen skills, they use more factors in their measurement system. But it's not only that. When we deep dive, what are the factors, what are the KPIs that they measure to understand if their project is delivering value? We saw that they focus on measures that go well beyond the triple constraint. They measure customer satisfaction, alignment with wider organization strategy, risk management indicators, regulatory compliance. These are just a few examples. So we see that professionals with high business acumen have this ability to focus on measures that are more directed at the value and not necessarily at the project execution and these project parameters themselves. Indeed, they measure those too. And professionals with high business acumen, they have also higher project execution success rates. But beyond that, they also are more successful in achieving value of their projects. That's very interesting and really illustrates the importance of business acumen. I mentioned that high business acumen contributes to project delivery excellence. So this is what is demonstrated on this chart. We again did a comparison of professionals with very high business acumen, which means professionals on the top of the spectrum of these skills, with the rest of respondents, and we saw that they have higher rates for achieving project goals, for achieving business goals that are supposed to be supported by their project, etc. And they also demonstrate lower project failure rate. So overall, we have a lot of data, and once you download this report yourself and read all the details, you will see that we have very strong evidence that is showing that business acumen is a skill that contributes to higher project management success, or project performance, you can call it, but also contributes to higher project success. So that's all great, but where's the catch? So we were looking at the range of business acumen proficiency, and we see that we have a huge opportunity for individual practitioners and also for businesses to invest in these very important skills and use this opportunity to outperform their peers by investing in business acumen. So let's look at that. Earlier, a few minutes ago, I mentioned that definition of business acumen. So we took that definition and we broke it down. We looked at particular skills that represent business acumen, and we look at actions. How are project professionals actually using their business acumen skills to make decisions and to remove roadblocks that might happen during the project execution? And when we combined these two dimensions together, we saw that in the overall spectrum, we have around 16% of project professionals with lower business acumen, which means they deploy fewer roadblock mitigation tactics, or they are excellent in fewer business acumen skills. Then the majority of our population, around 66%, have very good, let's say reasonably good business acumen. So these professionals are professional experts in 4 to 6 business acumen skills, and they use more roadblocks mitigation tactics. And then we have this smaller group of 18% of project professionals with high business acumen. So these project professionals are on the top of the spectrum. So that's great news, because it means that if you believe me and see that business acumen is very important for project delivery success, for project performance, and also for project success, which means the value delivery, then you must see that as a great opportunity to invest in yourself, in this skill, and get to that group of 18% of project professionals that are on the top of this skill. And then indeed the percentage would increase. So what we would like to use this report for is to create another call for action and encourage individuals, but also organizations, to invest in this skill. And why is it so important? So for this report, as we do also for other reports, we always invite a few experts, either from the outside of our community, but a lot of experts also from the inside of our community, and we ask them, what do they think about these numbers? How do they see that? So for this report, we were very fortunate to have Bill Fisher to contribute to our report. So Bill Fisher is a professor emeritus at innovation management at IMD Business School in Switzerland. And Bill Fisher is also a senior lecturer at MIT Sloan School of Management in the United States. And he was so kind to share his views on business acumen with us. So again, once you access that report, you can read the full statement that he gave us. Here for this, for PM Expo, I included just an overview, just an abbreviation of what he said. And what Bill Fisher is saying, that because we are facing this rapidly evolving business landscape every day, project professionals need more than just technical skills to deliver successful transformations. But also what Bill is noticing is that business acumen is missing from the wide range of education that employees bring to the job. So it's kind of like confirming our finding. We have business acumen very well represented at present in the community of project professionals. But there's definitely a space for us to learn more and be stronger in this skill. So Bill also mentions that when we have in teams individuals, practitioners that are commercial savvy, that have a high level of business acumen, then they contribute to innovation conversations early in the project. So again, contributing to the value that is created at the end. So to start summarizing it, we see that business acumen is critical for innovation, for business growth. It's critical for project success. And we still have this great space and great opportunity to make our business acumen stronger. So I believe that at this moment, you must be asking yourself or me, like, okay, so what are the skills, what are the specific skills that we should invest in? So don't worry, I got you covered. I have it on my next slide. So we try to group these business acumen skills in these three buckets. So first of them is stakeholder and team engagement. So again, if you recall the MORE, M-O-R-E, as something that is important for project success, there was, for instance, under M, managed perception, that's a lot about stakeholder and team engagement. So this is one group of business acumen skills that you should invest in. Then the second one, strategic and organizational alignment. So that's really about understanding that business wider context and how the value is actually created. That's the dynamic of organization. And the last one, financial acumen and industry expertise. And this one is very interesting because when we ask project professionals which of these three buckets they believe are the most important, there was quite a unity in responses on stakeholder and team engagement, strategic and organizational alignments. And then we had a certain distribution of answers when we ask about the importance of financial acumen and industry expertise. So for me, the message is clear. We really need to bring more clarity on these skills, and we need to invest in them. So when you look at that, again, opportunity for you, share in the chat. What do you think about it? Do you think that you have these skills? So why I keep talking about investing in these skills? As you will read in our report, we actually combined data from our previous Pulse of the Professions report when we were looking into the amount of financial and time investment into these three dimensions of talent, of PMI talent triangle. And we saw that when it comes to ways of working, or previously called technical skills, there is a high priority of these skills by senior leaders, and trainings that are delivered by organizations account for 46% of total training hours for project professionals. But when we look at power skills, the numbers are a little bit lower, and then business acumen, it's prioritized only by 54% of senior leaders and accounts only for 25% of overall training hours. So what is it telling us? That despite the criticality of business acumen for project success, we also see that it's not prioritized enough today, because I hope that a lot of things will change after this report is released, and that we will increase and more balance that ratio of the time that we dedicate to our training. For inspiration, we looked at what are the training opportunities and how project professionals actually develop their own business acumen. So on this chart, what you see is what is the importance provided by project professionals for these different training and development opportunities. So on the top place, you see training on industry-specific knowledge rated as 86%. And then we also looked at which of these trainings or training development opportunities are provided by organizations and which of them are self-sourced by project professionals. So you see that in some cases, it's more like 50-50, but in some cases, it's actually, these are training or development opportunities that are pursued by individuals proactively by themselves and not provided by organizations that much. So I hope that when you review that, you will see that if you want to acquire business acumen, it's a lot about your own initiative and really owning that development by yourself and looking actively for opportunities to learn. So to summarize that, when I look overall at our research, we revealed several opportunities, for instance, training on industrial knowledge, training on specific business acumen skills, or supporting leadership of internal engagement initiatives that can help you acquire higher business acumen. Overall, we see that business acumen is critical, not only for project success, but also for the professional development of US individuals. And again, here I included another quote from Bill Fisher, where he talks about the need to embrace opportunities to learn business acumen, because he's noting that organizations might underinvest in business acumen because they assume that everybody already knows that. And that is a very interesting point to think about, because it's not that obvious, it's not that automated that we would have this skill before, especially if we move between industries. So again, it's really a call for action to pay attention to business acumen and to development of industrial knowledge, because it will help you to be more successful. So to summarize that's my call for action, is that we clearly need to recognize the criticality of business acumen skills, and we need to work consistently by ourselves and also with organization leaders to develop opportunities for project professionals to acquire business acumen skills. So we can think about developing mentorship programs. We can think about being more cognizant on different development opportunities around you in the organization, and not to focus only on technical skills or power skills, but to really search and engage in opportunities that will help us acquire more financial acumen and industry knowledge. It was also very interesting that our research showed that when we have project professionals that manage more projects simultaneously, and just please don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about 10 projects at a time, but imagine maybe two, that these professionals display higher business acumen because they are simply exposed to more environments, to more challenges, and then their ability to make better decisions indeed increases. So with that call for action, I have one little bonus of this session. I already mentioned that we had Bill Fisher to contribute to our report, but I have one more guest. And that guest is here with me to give you a little bit more inspiration how to develop your business acumen and again understand the importance of this skill. My guest is Howard Yu. So Howard Yu is a Lego professor of management and innovation at IMD School in Switzerland. And by the way, this is a very interesting fact. In 2015, he was selected as one of the top world's top 40 business professors under 40. So it's a great achievement. Then in 2023, he was ranked on the Thinkers 50 list and received the Strategy Award. Currently, he leads the Center for Future Readiness, which was founded in 2022 by IMD and the Lego Group. And his work is all about understanding and researching what makes companies successful in the future. Howard often says that his job is to help executives to filter the noise so that they can focus more on business. He publishes at Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan Management Review, and indeed, he also speaks at PMPXPO events. So I'm very happy to have Howard with me today. And let me ask him a first question. So Howard, welcome. And could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your work on the Future Readiness Index?
Thank you. And it's great to be here. And I am these days lead the Center for Future Readiness at the Business School of IMD. So my work is really trying to unpack what makes an organization future ready and what makes individual also future ready. So think about future-proof yourself while saving others. And so what we have been doing is to really looking across 6 different industries, over 160 companies using hard data. So none of these are just survey, but we use hard data, market measurement, all the way to third-party publication, to using almost like a 360, if you will, an assessment, to see what makes an organization from average to extremely future ready. What makes other company from being, hero of their own industry, but over time, they drop to the average. In a way, it's almost understanding what makes good to great, but in 2025.
Thank you, Howard. So what are the key trends that you observe that impact businesses and makes them successful in the long term, in future? And indeed, because you're on the floor of PMI, Project Management Institute, where do you see the link between future readiness of organizations and projects?
Wow, this is such an important question because in my work, as I unpack what makes organization future ready, is almost opening up black box after black box. So, when an organization is future ready, obviously they grow above the market share. They are able to patch up and mitigate risk better than others. When there is a crisis, they are more resilient than others. So that's the outcome of being future ready. But if you peel open the black box, every one of them are able to scale up new capabilities slightly ahead of others. And I am not talking about just Gen AI, which of course get a lot of attention these days, but whether it's digital transformation, advanced robotics, simply getting data onto a transparent dashboard, all these are capability either you already have it or sort of a near-term future capabilities. And what we have seen is companies that are future ready are more resilient during downtime, or when time is good, they win more than others. They are able to scale up new capability just 1 inch ahead. So this is really good news, right? Because you do not need to be like NVIDIA or Microsoft in leading Gen AI. But every one of us needs to make sure my part of the organizations are the pioneering application in my own domain. And that is something we could ultimately control. And so this is what we see. And if you peek open or peel open another second layer of the black box, it all comes down to how you manage projects. Are we able to deliver on time, on budget with transparency? Are we able to capture projects that are less successful than others with transparency and psychological safety so that the key lesson learned don't get trapped within silo? We could do after action review without blame, but really focus on fact finding so that as a company overall or as an organization overall, we are able to build on what we know and avoid future pitfall at the same time. And are we able to scale up excellence once the moment we learn from at the project level, something works? Can we scale it up at the enterprise level? So what we've seen is, yeah, future ready business, the correct unit of analysis actually comes down to, at the project level, are we able to scale up excellence? Are we able to rechannel resources if something doesn't work rather than throwing good money after bad? And does an organization, from the leaders to the front line, do they have a sense of safety so that the key learning, they don't get trapped within a silo, but they actually get scaled up, the knowledge getting moved across the whole enterprise. And this is what I've learned through this 160 company unpacking 6 different industries.
So that's an amazing insight. And I see that you already referred to some of the key business acumen skills that we mentioned earlier, such as the ability to relocate resources, distribute the talent and power of the project team members to achieve greater results. So it's amazing to see how projects contribute to the organization's future readiness. And thank you for mentioning that it's equally important to understand when to stop investing in some activities and projects with low returns. But what I really like, how you mentioned the need to create psychological safety on projects. So psychological safety on projects, that's not a typical triple constraint of project performance, but it's very important for project success. So thank you for these insights. And now, according to your experience, how important is it for project professionals who want to succeed and face future challenges to further develop their business acumen?
Oh God, this is so important, but not urgent. Let me explain. I think business acumen ultimately is the most important area that project management professional must master, but it's never feeling urgent. But just like life, right? The most important thing never feel urgent. And the most urgent thing may not be the most important. And the way I see it is because project management is a mean to an end. And the end point, the true north, is not just listening to the CEO who said this or that, and I'm just going to implement with blind faith. Because the most future-ready organization, when I'm looking at how they implement a project, there are tactical excellence. The professional needs to make everyday trade-off and tactical move so that whatever they're doing can get accelerated based on the tailwind of the industry or within the organization. So you would be able to make the excellence trade-off so that it arrive and fulfill the corporate vision. And I think it all boils down to business acumen. that you are able to see 2 steps ahead of others rather than waiting for some high-level executive to say that. You already make and do the right things. It's always about doing the right things. It's not just, doing things right.
So to summarize that, I really like the way you phrase it. So you are saying that business acumen is important, but is not seen as urgent. Which, by the way, this observation perfectly fits our data, but I think that it also fits perfectly that quote from Bill Fisher when he said that sometimes organizations assume that you're already entering the space, their organization with business acumen and business understanding. So I hope that after this event, we all manage to increase the urgency of business acumen skills and the need to invest in them intentionally. But I also really like the way you explain why and how project professionals always need to be 2 steps ahead. I think you said 2 steps ahead to reassess project parameters to maximize the value. So that's really this O and M in the more in our broader vision for the profession. It's all about owning project success instead of just relying on the C-level executive guidance. So I really, really love that. So my last question to you is, could you please share 2 to 3 things that project professionals should do and could do to develop their business acumen?
So through my executive works for different organizations, whether it's Novo Nordisk or the Lego Group, and I see the most powerful middle manager, they are the curious one. They're able to suspend their judgment based on their homegrown knowledge from an industry or their own organization to learn from others. So say you are the Lego Group, and I've seen again and again, executives are so curious to learn. How does Disney overcome some of the similar challenge? How did Netflix overcome some of this challenge, which is completely outside their own industry? So it's not just copy and paste and blindly follow others, but you back out after you develop that understanding based on curiosity to understand how can I apply in my own world. And so curiosity is key. Second is I've seen other organizations, whether it's ABB or all the way to Sandvik, for instance, they would organize learning trip because it is so powerful to develop business acumen, not just based on your own individual curiosity, but as a team. And I think this is something that our audience can also try to emulate. I bet there are people who are like-minded, who are curious enough, so why not? We organize a virtual visit of a different industry to understand how did other companies deploy Gen AI across the entire value chain, which are not necessarily tech company, but other non-tech company. How do they stay frontier? And the last one, maybe connect with me on LinkedIn, happy to, or Substack.
Right. Curiosity and networking. Perfect. Thank you, Howard, so much. That was very insightful. And indeed, I hope that we will all stay connected. And my last call to action for everyone at PM Expo, please access our PMI resources, access other resources that are available to you, and invest in your business acumen because, as we are seeing on data,